Hello there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jeff Weinstein, and this is my inaugural video on my YouTube channel. It's called the Long Suffering Channel. It'll be primarily talking about the Mets, Jets, and Rangers, New York's three most infuriating sports teams. Teams that kind of allergic to winning championships, if you will. And on my inaugural video, I'm going to be talking about the latest topic that seems to be dividing Ranger fans the most, and that is the Igor Shesterkin contract situation. Just to get you up to speed, Shesterkin is in the final year of his 4-year contract that's paying him about $5.6 million a year. Pretty much a very team-friendly deal. Igor is one of the top goalies in the entire NHL, and he's not being paid like that. And we'll see where this goes, but he wants to be the highest paid goalie in NHL history, according to reports. And now it's being reported he wants to be the highest paid Ranger player in franchise history. So we'll see how that goes. Usually I write blogs. Those of you that know me and follow me on Twitter or X have read my blogs in the past. I've also written articles for other publications. I decided to make a video because it's easier to just kind of talk about it instead of having to type about it. I am surprised but not shocked about what people are saying about the Shesterkin contract situation. It seems like people are taking one extreme side or the other. For example, I see lots of people saying you can't pay him $12 million a year because if you pay your goalie that much, if your goalie takes up that much of the salary cap, it now enables you to be able to build a roster that's capable of winning a cup, which is myopic, ignorant, and wrong. It's factually wrong. I mean, the Florida Panthers just won a Stanley Cup with a highly paid goalie. The Tampa Bay Lightning won a Stanley Cup with a highly paid goalie. And even though Marc-Andre Fleury wasn't the starting goalie on the 2016-2017 back-to-back Pittsburgh Penguin championship winning teams, his salary was still on the roster, and it didn't prevent the Penguins from being able to build a 2-time Stanley Cup winning team. So where this narrative came from, where teams can't field a Stanley Cup winning roster if you pay a goalie a ton of money, if you open the vault for a goalie, I don't know where this narrative came from because it's factually not true. Anyway, moving on from that, you have people that feel you can't pay a goal, and then you have the other side saying you have to pay Shesterkin because he's your best player and he's the best goalie in the league, and you have to pay him what he wants. I don't subscribe to either extreme, and I know this crazy world we live in, you have to take one extreme or another. You can't think outside the box. You can't look at it logically using common sense. You have to take one extreme or the other. But sorry, I don't buy that. And if you're on one of these extremes, you're really being ignorant and naive about this because there's so many layers to this. There's so many levels to this, and there's so many things to unpack. And that's what I'm going to discuss here in this video. Now look, you have to look at this Rangers team right now. How are they constructed? How they are built? Without an elite goalie, they probably aren't even a playoff team. And if they do make the playoffs, they're probably not winning a round because they are not very good defensively. They don't pay attention to the small details. They have a lot of players on this team that are high risk, high reward. And, when it's time to shut down a team in the third period, they tend not to do that, and they tend to rely on their goalies to make big save after big save after big save to hang on to a lead and win a game. So you can't just put anybody in goal and expect them to be a playoff team and make a run through the playoffs. You can't do that. Not the way this team is built. So the people that are saying that you have to pay Igor, that's their argument. Now, the people that are saying you can't pay him $12 million a year are pointing to other teams like the 2019 St. Louis Blues, 2022 Colorado Avalanche, 2023 Vegas Golden Knights, who won a Stanley Cup without paying through the nose for a top-end goalie. yes, it is possible to win a Stanley Cup without paying for a high-end goalie, but it's rare. It's a lot rarer than people think. Again, you look through in the post salary cap era, which started in 2005. You've had Chris Osgood in 2008, highly paid goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury. You've had Tim Thomas, highly paid goalie, win the Stanley Cup. Jonathan Quick with the Kings, highly paid goalie. Braden Holtby with the Capitals in 2018. I'm not saying that they were the highest paid players on the team, but they were making a large percentage, relatively speaking, of the salary cap. So it is certainly very possible to pay a goalie top dollar and still win a Stanley Cup. And the way this team is built, I don't see them sniffing a championship without Igor Shesterkin or a comparable goalie to Igor Shesterkin. So if you can figure out how to bring in a goalie in here that can give them that level of goaltending that Igor gives you without paying him top dollar, then you should call Chris Drury right now, send him an email, and tell him that's the goalie you have to get. Now, the argument about not paying him is also a valid one, because teams have won Stanley Cups, as I mentioned before, without paying a highly paid goalie. If you do pay Shesterkin what he wants, and by all accounts he wants $12 million a year, then I actually have on Puckpedia a list of all the current Rangers whose contracts expire at the end of this year. It's not just Shesterkin that's looking for a new contract. It'll be Riley Smith, Capo Caco, Alexis Lafreniere, Will Cooley, Matt Rempe, everybody's favorite new tough guy, Matt Rempe, Ryan Lindgren, Keandre Miller, Zach Jones, and Jonathan Quick. Now that's a lot of guys looking for new contracts. And because of the NHL has a hard salary cap, you can't pay all these guys. You just can't. So that means that if you pay Shesterkin the $12 million he wants, a lot of those guys I mentioned aren't going to be here next year. Now, as of now, according to Puckpedia, the Rangers have approximately, let me look for it, approximately, I believe it said $28 million in salary cap for next season. Okay, cap projections, here it is. Yeah, in the neighborhood of $29 million current cap space for next year. $29,807,000. That's with a salary cap that's $88 million, but it's expected to go up to $92 million, at least by all projections. So that means they should have a $33 million in cap space going into next year. The thought process is also that Jacob Trouba, the team captain, won't be here next year. He'll either be traded or bought out, or the Rangers might have to retain some salary, so maybe it'll be a little more than $33 million. Anyway, if Shesterkin gets his $12 million per, that's more than 33% of the available salary cap for next season allocated to one player. I'm no math wizard, but that'll mean that all these other guys, Alexis Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, so on and so forth, if they might not be able to get the contracts they want from the Rangers, and the Rangers might have to trade them if they're a restricted free agent, or let them walk if they're an unrestricted free agent. Ryan Lindgren is an unrestricted free agent. He might have to find his contract somewhere else. So it's a very difficult fence for Chris Drury to maneuver around. I don't know if fence is the right word, but do you let your elite goalie, who lifts his game in the playoffs, by the way, who is even better in the playoffs, do you let him walk away and then try your hand at a mediocre goalie and hope that goalie gets hot at the right time, like Aiden Hill, like Jordan Binnington, like some of these, Matt Murray, like some of these other lesser-known goalies that have won Stanley Cups. Darcy Kempfer with Colorado. By the way, Colorado let Kempfer walk as a free agent instead of paying him. They replaced him with Alex Georgiev, former Ranger. Maybe that wasn't the best decision. The 2 years since, Colorado lost in the first round 2 years ago to Seattle, of all teams. And then last year they lost to Dallas. Dallas is a good team, but still, haven't even made it past the second round because Colorado thought they can put anybody in net. They have such a great team. I don't know what the right answer is, and neither do you. I don't think anybody knows what the right answer is. We can all sit here on our horses and our soapboxes and think that we know what the right move is, but the fact is we don't. My guess is Shesterkin will sign an extension here because he has made it clear, unambiguously, that he wants to stay. Chris Drury, who is usually quite ambiguous, has stated that he wants Shesterkin to stay. And published reports are saying from the insiders that the Rangers are willing to pay him more than the current highest paid goalie, which is Carey Price, more than $10.5 million. They're willing to go above that. And if Shesterkin's camp wants $12 million, I think a compromise could be in the cards there. You're not going to let approximately $1 million or $1.2 million or whatever prevent this marriage from happening and Shesterkin spending the rest of his career with the Rangers. This isn't like a Jets and Hassan Reddick situation where it's clear that Reddick doesn't want to play for the Jets. Reddick has done everything in his power to get the Jets so mad at him that they trade him. Reddick never wanted to play for the Jets. I've always believed that. He's doing everything he can to piss them off. He's not playing for the Jets. Shesterkin wants to stay. The Rangers want him to stay. Logic tells me they'll find a way to get the job done. But like I said, if you're devoting a third of your available salary cap next season to one player who's a goalie, a lot of those players I mentioned, they won't be here next year. Which one of those players? Well, that's for Chris Drury to decide, not me. But I just suggest and request to my fellow Ranger fans or whoever watches this video, think. Don't just take one extreme or the other. This is not a black or white issue here. You have to watch the way this team plays, and without an elite goalie, this team is nothing. Even in the Capitals series, the first round last year, games 3 and 4, Shesterkin was unbelievable. Shesterkin stood on his head. Capitals had great chance after great chance after great chance. And Shesterkin saved up pretty much everything. And the special teams got them the goals that they needed, power play and shorthanded. And, Charlie Lindgren wasn't all that good for Washington. Game 3 in Carolina, he stood on his head. Game 6 in Carolina, he held them in there until... and let me just say something about Carolina. Those of you that think that you can just put anybody in goal, Freddie Anderson has really let that team down many, many a times. Carolina's got a hell of a hockey team, and they should be a Stanley Cup champion. With the way they play and the skill that they have, and the coach that they have, Rod Brind'Amour's top coach, or one of the top coaches in the league, the fact that they can't even get to a final because of their goaltending. You don't want to pay a goalie, and Toronto is the same boat. Edmonton, same boat. You don't want to pay a goalie because you have all these other great players. Colorado thought they can get away with it, and they were wrong. Maybe they should have kept Darcy Kempfer. Anyway, getting back to the Rangers. If Shesterkin signs his extension, which I believe he will, I believe they will get something done, the team is going to look drastically different next season. Jacob Trouba will probably be gone, like I said. They might go to Artemi Panarin and say, hey, it's the last year of your contract, and we're not re-signing you. And, if you don't accept the trade, we're going to buy you out. So if you want your full salary, your full $11.6 million, you're going to have to accept the trade. And maybe that's going to be the plan next year, to keep all of the young players that I mentioned. Miller, Lafreniere, Kakko, Cooley, Zach Jones, Matt Rempe. If you want to keep all those guys, maybe they're going to start to go through a bit of a retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. Maybe that is the plan. You save Shesterkin, you re-sign him, you have your goalie taken care of, and then you build out from there. And instead of having a team full of superstars like they have now with Savannah, and Fox, and Kreider, and Panarin, Maybe you start to build it more like St. Louis built their team in 2019 or Vegas built their team in 2022. 2023. But we'll probably know. I think we'll know before the season starts if they sign him to an extension. I can't see Chris Drury letting this hang over the team that thinks that they're capable of winning a Stanley Cup in what might be the last year for this core. Because if Igor has a great year, his AAV is going to go up. If he's struggling, it'll be because the contract's weighing on him. Just look at Pete Alonso with the Mets and his contract and how it's affected his season. So I can't see Drury letting this bleed into the regular season, which starts on October 9th in Pittsburgh. Well, there you have it. There's my first video. It's my first one, so I'll get better as I start doing more of these. I hope to make more videos about the Mets and the Jets, as well as the Rangers, maybe even other sports topics. So if you want to like this video, you want to subscribe, you want to leave comments, I'll be more than happy to read what you have to say. I respect people's opinions. I just think sometimes people need to think a little bit, instead of just taking one extreme or the other. I know that's kind of the way politics is, where you have to be here or there, you can't be in the middle. Think. There is no right way or wrong way to do this Shesterkin thing. There is no right answer or wrong answer. Obviously, if they win a Stanley Cup this year, then you can justify paying him the money, because then you can take the next couple of years to retool and rework everything. But I really think they'll get something done, and I really think that the roster will be different in the next couple of years. So, thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.